this is almost about as useful as the opportunity in the Dáil chamber, and I know that the Minister and officials are anxious to be facilitators of this exercise. So if you would come back to me, thank you very much.
Deputy, away with words. Senator Jillian van Turnhout.
Thank you very much, and I don't have the opportunity that you had earlier in the week, so I will try and get all my questions in that I can. Very, very welcome this opportunity to have an opportunity to engage with the Minister for Children and Youth Affairs, and I think you've said many things that I agree with. I think on the adoption legislation, I think, yes, we saw the heads of it prior to the referendum, and I think it would be really good maybe if we could start teasing out some of the issues, because I think we need a focused discussion. And there are issues like right to identity, Minister, and information and tracing that I've received quite a number of representations on, and I do think we need to tease them out, and perhaps the Health and Children Committee can play a role. With regard to the Child and Family Agency, I'm going to keep tripping over that. We've got used to the word family support, and I think for me it was, I would like to know a little bit more, because it wasn't just the word support, it was the family support, and I just want to try and understand what was behind the government decision to take out the word support. I do very much welcome the appointment of Nora Gibbons as chair. I think she's an outstanding calibre, but I do have to ask why the position wasn't advertised. It's just, I think all appointments should be publicly advertised. It's not in any question on the calibre, and I will be very facilitative of the process. I think on the Child and Family Agency, I suppose I'm still struggling, Minister, with trying to understand exactly what is composed of the agency. And I know we're awaiting the bill, and I look forward to the bill. For example, I have met over the last few weeks different public health nurses, and I know there's a debate about whether they should be part of the agency or not part of the agency, and I've heard both parts of that from public health nurses, who actually could see that there's a role outside of the agency. But how do we develop that role parallel to the development of the agency? And I have a lot of ideas on that, having met with public health nurses. Regarding the 3 sites, Minister, in relation to child poverty, I do welcome the information you've given us, and I think it's very helpful. I do need to note, I'm actually uncomfortable with the tendering process. There's just something about it I have a difficulty about, that is there not a better way, if it's on deprivation levels, and perhaps we'd also ensure that there's also a rural area would be selected, because it is not just about urban areas that we need to find solutions that we can mainstream. But the idea of asking communities to tender when they're in poverty, there's something, it's just not sitting well for me, Minister, on the clarity of exactly how it's going to work. Regarding direct provision, I take your answer, Minister, that you've directed me back to the Minister for Justice and Law Reform, and I will continue to pursue, and I'm actually happy to get that answer. I do note that he is actually the Minister for Justice and Equality, so perhaps this is an old answer, but perhaps it's just a mistitle by somebody. But I do have a great worry, Minister, about children in direct provision. I've now visited 2 centres. I do think there's an environment that is damaging to children. Jeffrey Shannon, in his report last year, asked for a report to be conducted into it, and I do think, and I know that at the committee we are hopefully going to have a hearing here on the issue of direct provision, but I am particularly concerned about the situation for children. But Minister, today I just want to focus mainly actually on youth work and youth work funding, because last December in the Seanad on my initiation we had a really good debate on the value of youth work. But the Minister will be aware that information recently came into the youth sector in response to a freedom of information request. And the information outlined approved significant changes in the youth sector in Ireland. Indeed, for me, I think it could be described as a game changer for the youth sector in Ireland, this document. And these decisions were made in the autumn, so they were prior to our debate in the Seanad. So, Minister, can you confirm that you have approved the City of Dublin Youth Services Board, subcommittee of the City of Dublin VEC, to become the key agency to assume full national responsibility for administration, distribution and monitoring of all the main funding schemes of youth work in Ireland, thereby removing responsibility for administrating funds locally from a number of national voluntary youth organisations and from individual VECs in every county in Ireland? That's fine. And also, Minister, can you confirm that there are plans in place to unilaterally replace the existing youth work funding schemes with 2 new schemes without awaiting the development of the strategic youth policy framework or the outcome of the value for money review, which you recently commissioned, and without consultation with the stakeholders. Because, Minister, I've read through these documents very carefully, and these documents are asserting these positions, and I would like to get clarity on these issues. I think they are a game changer for youth work, and for me, it's really disappointing to have read the documents when we had a debate in the Seanad on this very issue. This should have been put into the public domain if they are the decisions being taken. And then finally, Minister, on the issue of aftercare, just to note, I think it would be really useful. We've had great developments in the early childcare sector. If we could see the development of regulations and the eligibility criteria for aftercare, because I see it springing up now on an ad hoc basis. And I think we need to be clear with the funding that's going to be coming forward, what is the funding actually for, and that it won't just be a fund that could be allocated personally and locally. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll take the other members of the committee now who are here. And again, may I just apologise to Deputy Naughton. Your question did get lost in the system. And I know that some of the questions have been answered elsewhere. But I want to apologise to you for the fact that your questions did get lost. And I hope the Minister will indulge in that. Okay, 3 minutes, Deputy.
Thank you. Not to interrupt, Deputy Naughton, but I just wonder, is it